Hi, I'm Jeff Holden. Welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network. Our purpose and passion is to highlight a nonprofit organization in each weekly episode, giving that organization an opportunity to tell their story in their words to better inform and educate the respective communities they serve, as well as provide one more tool for them to share their message to constituents and donors. Our goal is to help build stronger communities through shared voices and to both encourage and support the growth of local nonprofit organizations through podcasting. Thanks to our founding partners for their foresight in helping us transform the way conversations start. CapTrust, fiduciary advice for endowments and foundations. Runyon Saltzman Incorporated, RSE, marketing, advertising, and public relations creating integrated communications committed to improving lives. And Western Health Advantage, a full-service healthcare plan for individuals, employer groups, and families. Sacramento is home to many great museums, and we're fortunate for that. But this discussion is going to be about what I would suggest is the most visible museum in town, in the region even. It's one many of us have seen and may have even questioned what it was because its name is actually an acronym, MOSAC. We know it as that iconic building just as you enter downtown on Interstate 5. But what is it, this oddly organized, gray-domed and red-boxed assembly of shapes? MOSAC, Museum of Science and Curiosity. What a great name. And another iconic business is a part of that name as the primary organization responsible for the museum. Of course, it's another acronym most of us know, SMUD, or the Sacramento Metropolitan Utility District. Two acronyms, two community icons, one unbelievable result. My bias for the museum is evident in the episode, so we'll let that speak for itself. But we're also fortunate to have a woman as executive director who comes from a science background and has made a career in museum leadership. Interestingly enough, all the museums on her resume have science in their name. Museum of Science Boston, Science World Vancouver, St. Louis Science Center, and now she can add SMUD's Museum of Science and Curiosity to her curricula vitae. Andrea Durham, welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you here because the experience of what you represent at the museum, and that is the Museum of Science and Curiosity, MOSAC, and we'll get into that in just a second, is so much more than what people might expect of a museum. And I've had the benefit of being there now a couple of times, and the experience is what is unique because it's a tactile, it's an audio, it's a complete sensory engagement experience when you're at the museum with so many of the exhibits.
Absolutely.
You just can't help but dive in.
That's the idea.
Tell us a little bit about how it all came together, how the museum actually evolved, and now we have this wonderful place for Sacramentans to visit and engage and experience.
Well, the organization has existed for a long time, something in the neighborhood of 70 years. There was a small museum called the Discovery Center on
Auburn.
Thank you.
I remember the museum. I didn't realize they were the outgrowth of each other.
Exactly. And the board of directors had a really visionary imagination that we should have, that Sacramento, a city like Sacramento, deserves a proper science center of the scale of our city. Mm-hmm. And to serve our city. And so they launched this big vision of creating a bigger science center that could serve more people. And that vision, along with the broken down PG&E historic building, came together. Make a very long story short, MOSAC came to be. That building was restored, and then an addition was put on to give us a state-of-the-art planetarium and lobby and various amenities. And so MOSAC came to be through the hard work of many, many, many committed Sacramentans. And it's so exciting that we were able to do that.
And I know that's it was like a 12, 15-year process to make this all happen for so many reasons, because of environmental and the building itself and the earthquake retrofits and then the new facility. And then, of course, the capital funding to make it all work.
Exactly. It was a huge, I think it was closer to a 20-year project.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of money and effort by a lot of people went into that.
It is amazing the success of what they built from that dream. And we'll get there a little bit in the conversation too. When I was there the other day, as I was walking through the parking lot, busload after busload after busload. There were 5 buses of Elk Grove Unified School District. Then up rolls 3 more buses from Roseville. I can only imagine the attendees that you get at the museum over the course of a year. Who is the museum really built for?
Well, first of all, today we got busloads from Chico.
Oh, my goodness.
Right? Can you imagine? So they were having a blast when I left the museum to come over here. So it was built for everybody. We're really here to serve our whole community and beyond. Northern California, really, as I just mentioned with these kids
north.
from Chico. And so we have a toddler, everything from a toddler area. I mean, I see people, sometimes I can't help it, and I stop somebody because they've got a teeny tiny baby, and I say, how old is that baby? And they'll say like 3 weeks. And I say, well, never too young to start learning STEM.
No.
Usually they're there with another child that's running around. But everything from toddlers, we have a beautiful little toddler zone, through we get busloads of seniors coming in to just have a blast. The number one, a fun fact, is the number one reason nationally that people come to science museums or science centers, and we kind of use those words interchangeably in my world, is to have a quality experience together. So it doesn't matter how old you are. You see them coming in the front door all the time. They might be 18-year-olds here on a date, or a group of seniors, or just a couple. And it's really an experience that anybody can have. And it brings people, what I love is it brings people closer together. So I talked to a family last Monday that came in. They stayed for 5 hours. And they kept texting me and saying, we didn't know it was for everybody. There's a group of adults right next to us engaged in building Mars rovers for half an hour. And they're just 4 adults. And we're just having so much fun among all kinds of people here. We had no idea it was for everybody. And that's the reaction most people give us, which is, we didn't know.
You didn't know. We don't expect to be so immersed in the experience of the exhibits. Right. I think that's the neat part of it, whether you're 2 or 80.
Exactly. And sometimes my favorite thing is 3 generations. When I see 3 generations building something together, like super concentrating together and having banter. And I also know that next week they're going to still be talking about it at the dinner table. Right. And yes, people learn things along the way. People like to come and learn, but their primary reason for coming is to have fun. There isn't anything like it. It's a unique experience. It brings them together. They get to put down their phones. They get away from the screen, and they have a quality time together. And that just warms my heart, because you don't always have great opportunities to do that anymore.
Yeah, there's really not anything of conflict. It's all beneficial. And to your point of just the experience of people being together, again, yes, it's all neutral. It's, did you know? Oh my gosh, that was fun. I remember that is how I went through it, with all those emotions from things when you go through the Space Center of, oh, I remember watching that on TV. You have an old TV that was like what we watched it on, which is great. And just experiencing some of it over again is so neat. And for those of us who are of whatever age, where you see something that relives that experience, it only further enhances the relationship too, when you can really share it together with somebody else who gets what you're talking about.
Right. And making memories together. It's priceless.
Right. Oh, there you go. That's what MOSAC is. It's priceless. Back to the attendees. There are all sorts, socioeconomic and education and age. It does serve a purpose beyond just the experience because we're talking about STEM and teaching kids predominantly about science, technology,
Engineering and
math. And they added an A in there now too
Sometimes
for
we
STEAM,
call it
right?
STEAM, yep, the arts, because
Yes.
these days in the modern world we live in, we really think of those things as integrated. So it's not just like, oh, we're going to hang a picture on the wall and we're going to call it STEAM. It's more so really sophisticated curriculum now is project-based, and all those things are integrated. Really great project work happens in schools that get kids immersed in all of those, and they can see the interconnectedness. That's the way the world lives, right? Your world is not just, oh, right now I'm thinking about biology. And then, a few minutes later, now I am going to do math. Like, that's not the way our world is, right? So those things in the world are integrated, and in a really engaging project at school, they're integrated. And so that's where the word STEAM really comes in.
Well, and we think about art is engineered in so many cases. I look at it, I think this whomever that artist was had to be way beyond just that creative concept of scratching something out on a piece of paper. I mean, go back to one of Picasso's big designs, like in the city of Chicago. That had to be engineered.
When you think of the science and technology of paint,
Yes.
that is thousands of years old.
Yes.
That is science and technology.
Yeah. And even the rabbit at our Sacramento airport, it didn't get up there. It didn't get built. Somebody had to engineer this concept that the artist had. So the elements of what we think of as art tied into engineering and math, it's just all so integrated, as you said.
Yeah. And one of the things we take pride in is that it's very self-directed learning. And people love that. People want to have control over their own learning. 95% of learning happens outside of school. And so we're all about self-directed, self-activated learning. You get to take learning into your own hands and learn what you want to learn. And one of the things we love is that it really stimulates people to do more learning. So you might see, you're talking about memories of the space program. You might also go home and it might make you curious and think, oh, I have some other questions about space and travel in space. I'm going to look that up. I'm going to keep learning. And that's what we want to encourage is lifelong learning, realizing that science and digging into more learning about it is really fun on your own terms.
Right. When you don't have to because it's a class or whatever.
Right. Nothing against school.
Right.
We love school and schools, but this is augmenting that, right? And carrying people forward in their own learning their whole lives.
Now, something we saw at the back as we're, I believe, on the second floor, there's a lab with computers on every desk, notebook computers, and it looked like maybe 3D design of some sort. Tell us a little bit about that. I mean, obviously nobody was in there at the time we were there, but clearly that is a teaching makerspace of some sort.
That's exactly what it is. We call it our design lab.
Okay.
And groups of kids get to come in. We have workshops that you can sign up for on our website that are longer experiences. So a visit to the museum might be between an hour and a half and 5 hours long. Those are workshops that kids can sign up for. And there are 4 Saturdays in a row at the moment, but we're going to do more various combinations. But what I love about the Design Lab is that they're given a project. So the project might be design and build your own wind turbine, or it might be design and build your own rocket. And they're given all the tools they need. And we have facilitators that give them guidance, but they're doing their own project-based self-directed learning. They're taking it in their own direction. So we give them a computer with a real CAD program. There are soldering irons that they learn how to use safely. We have laser cutters. We have 3D printers, all these resources available to them. And they design their rocket. They get to go outside and shoot it off and see how it does. And then they can come back inside and redesign their rocket. And what I really love is that we're really changing kids' lives. We get a lot of feedback from parents that their child felt successful for the first time in their lives. And these are kids who might be 12 years old. And to think that they're feeling successful for the first time ever because they got to do something on their own terms and in their own way. And that just, I mean, sometimes I tell stories about kids in that space and people's eyes tear up. I mean, it's really making a difference. And it makes kids, by that age, they're making choices about what courses they're going to take in school. That kid might have been on track to drop out. I don't want to take advanced science or math or something classes. I'm not going to be an engineer. I'm not smart enough. Or and now all of a sudden they're saying, hey, wait a minute, I can do this. The world is my oyster. I can take more classes. And they can see a future that they might not have seen before. It's pretty special.
Well, I can certainly appreciate that too, because you've got the diversity of opportunity in there, from biological to mechanical to electronic, whatever. Maybe they were overwhelmed at just the thought of all of it, and all of a sudden they find one that they really enjoyed and had a great time. Then it's a whole different experience. Then I can do this.
Yeah.
I like that, and I was good at it, and somebody said I was good at it. So that reinforcement that can come from just that experience is amazing.
Absolutely. And our team is so great at facilitating in just the right way that the kids really own it. They give just as much help as the kid asks for. Our team is amazing and really makes it all happen.
Yeah, that really embraces the interest in the right way.
Yep.
And then they take that back, and it comes back, as you said, to the dinner table, to the school, to the classroom, to the friends, whatever it may be.
Yep.
There are so many exhibits, and I love almost all of them. Are there a few that you can highlight? Let's see if they're the same as the ones I really like, that you would say are the significant, these are really unique and they really engage a lot of people that you see more often or hear more often about?
It's a little like asking me who my favorite kid is.
I know. Then you tell me about the ones that are already gone. Oh, but it's already gone.
I would say, we have some real crowd pleasers. And I would say one of them is we have a water exhibit. So the philosophy of MOSAC was that we would create spaces that highlighted the huge challenges of our world, that we are facing some wicked challenges in this world. But we don't want to depress people. We want to get people involved in making the world a better place. So we want to present those challenges, but we present them in a local, place-based lens. So our water exhibit's a great example of that. You can very easily imagine, yes, water is a global problem. California has very specific water challenges. So we have this great water exhibit, but our business is to give people hope and get people engaged in the topic, not to depress them about the problems in the world. So that's a long way of saying we have this wonderful salmon exhibit where you get to pretend you're a salmon and you get to swim upstream. You're already laughing. I can tell you did this exhibit.
I did. Can't wait to share.
And so you get to swim like a salmon. And you swim upstream and you have to not get eaten by a bear or not get picked off by a fisherman or things like that. And it's kinesthetic. It's uses your whole body. You got to do it you've got to experience it. Describing it with audio is not the
difficult,
same.
right?
But anyway, so pretend you're a salmon is really, really fun. We have a kinesthetic sand exhibit where you get to sculpt your own mountains and build a dam and make it rain and make it snow. And that is such a crowd pleaser that we have to refill the sand at least once a week.
They take it with?
Well, the sand just kind of makes its way out of the sand exhibit into hands and pockets and who knows. We also have some more sophisticated exhibits that help you understand the history of these water challenges. It's called projection mapping, and it's kind of cool and dramatic. So that's all in our water exhibit, but we have so many. We have stories. I love the stories from around the world where kids from all over the planet recorded stories with their cell phones during COVID, because that's when we were building the museum, was during COVID. And so we have absolutely mind-boggling stories about kids as young as 10 making a huge difference in their community, helping to save the planet, basically themselves. And so those really I love because they're telling it with their own voice. Also, Kiva blocks, Kiva planks are like my all-time, hands down, open-ended, like the epitome of open-ended experiences. I liken it to the way Lego originally was.
Right.
Originally Lego was bricks and your imagination.
Yep.
And that's what Kiva planks are. They're just a million beautifully tactile maple planks, and we see people building phenomenal. I've seen families work together for 2 hours building this magnificent Kiva sculpture.
Only to be taken down as soon as they walk away.
Well, either they think it's going to stay forever, or the kids get a huge pleasure out of knocking it down and then going home.
See, Mom and Dad?
Either way is fine with us.
We did the salmon, swim like a salmon. And
did you survive?
My producer and I did it.
Did you survive?
I survived. And my producer got eaten by an otter, was it? It was so neat to just move around. And we do have this on a YouTube channel, so we'll put that visual up there. It's just how you move your body, which helps you traverse the waterway, which is gently turning and moving, and blockage and animals and all sorts of things. The shallow water, you move forward to go faster. You move backwards to slow yourself down. And of course, as you're doing it, I see the first time doing it, well, okay, now I got it. All right, now we're going to challenge each other. I'm going to do mine, you do yours, and we'll see who goes faster. And I can see that just going and progressing.
There you go.
It was so, so neat to just watch. But you're also learning, oh, well, that's not good for a salmon. Or that animal eats salmon, so you don't want to get in that space.
Right.
And what a neat experience for anybody who really has no idea, but also for everybody who wants to see how the kinesthetic part of it works. It's just a neat piece of technology.
Now, I also can't leave out our planetarium. That's near and dear to my heart. We have a state-of-the-art planetarium. And what's special about MOSAC is that I already mentioned our amazing team. We only do live shows for planetarium shows in there. And so all the team members are trained in, I don't know how they memorize all these astronomy facts, and they help you explore our solar system, learn about our planets close to us, or you can go to mind-boggling places in the universe. And you really have to see a planetarium show. It's, again, describing it is lame, but our team, we don't have any like pre-recorded, pre-filmed anything. It's all live, taking you on a tour through the universe or through the planets. And our team, they answer questions and they just bring it to life for people. And it's really special.
Whoever was responsible for the showing that was coming up when we were there was kind enough to change the scene when we walked in from what it was. He said, "This is better. Get this," when we were shooting some video of it. And the people who were in the seats for the next exhibit, next showing, they were talking about, I had no idea what they were talking about, but the constellations, and there's that, and there's this, and oh my gosh, I have no clue what they're talking about other than like the Big Dipper. Yeah. And they were pointing out multiple different constellations. So it was really neat that they were aware, but more so just what a beautiful scene it was and how serene. Yeah. To your point on the thing that you were talking about with sand, the technology that went into that exhibit, that one is so hard to explain what you see. You hold these wands over the landscape, which is our valley, and it
makes it rain.
Rain or snow, and if you have too much of it, it floods, your dam breaks. And this is all virtual, but...
Except the sand is real.
But created by you with some of the elements. If you say, well, I need to protect that part of the valley, I can do that. I'll put up a dam here. And then when you do, the water fills up in the back. And this is all virtual, but in 3 dimensions. It's so hard to explain. That's why the
You
technology
have
of
to
it
come
to
see
me
it.
is
Come do it.
you must see
You
it.
must do it.
You must see it. All right, we can go on forever on the exhibits. And
True.
I just so enjoyed myself with that. And when we had our kids, our grandkids there, and kids, we were the 3
See?
generations there.
Yep.
Everybody was playing off in something different. The twins are 4 years old, so theirs was a little bit more on the tactile stuff. They loved the blocks and playing in there, and the stage. There's a stage there. They were up on that stage having a grand time. And of course, we were looking at other stuff as my son and his wife, my wife. It was just so much fun as an experience for the family.
And we really intentionally design every space so that 3 generations can find something to do within the same space. So, you don't lose your 4-year-olds, which is always a good thing. And
Or not necessarily.
because what you don't want is to have a space where just one of those generations is interested and the other people are like, can we go home now?
Right.
So we really try hard. So I'm really glad it worked for your family.
Oh, they drifted off into the coloring table. Wait, there's all this stuff for you to engage with and see. And I noticed yesterday the same thing. There were groups of kids going over to the coloring table and they were scratching out stuff. But some of it, what they were doing was stuff they had just seen.
Exactly.
It was bones or it was little animals or whatever it may be.
That's purposeful. It's all well thought out and designed by our team.
Great job.
Thank you.
Great job.
I'm very proud of everybody.
Question for you with regard to community interaction, collaborators. You have so much to offer to so many different organizations. Who do you work with a lot in terms of the community, besides, let's say, the obvious, the school districts and the schools?
We have a wonderful partnership with UC Davis and UC Davis Health. There's so much science that's going on at UC, so much research, so much of all kinds of things going on at UC Davis. So we love that partnership because we know we can just call them up. We can say, hey, we would really like to highlight, we'd love to have some scientists come this weekend and help people understand more about the brain. We have a health exhibition that has a piece on the brain, but we can't always present the most cutting edge research. First of all, it would be over most of our heads. And second of all, we can't change the exhibit every week. Some of this research is happening at the moment, right? Every week there's more discoveries being made. So it's really helpful to have a live scientist come in and bring some of that to life and share some of the phenomenal research that's happening. So we do things like that. We have a homeschool day 4 times a year. We have a long list of partners that we call on. They're themed. And so if the last theme was the world around us. And so we had all kinds of organizations come in. We had an organization that brought in maggots and paint, and they did maggot painting, which was a blast. I have a maggot painted piece of art in my office that I'm keeping forever. And we get people
The visual on that is really rough.
It's so cool.
Not on the outcome of it, but just the process of it.
We had a live snake, and they talked about snakes and helped people learn about snakes. We have SAC Sewer comes in on weekends and sometimes talks about water quality and how they keep our water safe. We have so many partners that really help us bring science to life and make it all come alive for people, whether it's on weekends or homeschool days or whatever the case may be. So UC Davis is one of our biggest partners, but I just mentioned a bunch more.
You did, yeah.
We want more partners. One of my dreams is that when a university is getting ready to apply for a grant, any of the wonderful universities in our area, that one of their first calls will be to us. Because all researchers are required to share their research with the public. It's important. It's public funding. It's important that the public know what discoveries are going to be made through that research. And so they need to have a public communication component. And that can be us. I've done that in every other city I've worked in the other science museums I've been at. And if they call us, then we can say, hey, you can focus on your research. We can help you communicate it to the public. We can put it in the public's vernacular in a way they can understand. And we can bring your research to life with you at the museum. And it's such a win-win. It's a beautiful partnership. And it's a great source of funding for us. And, it's a total classic win-win.
Right.
And so my dream is that they all know we're here and we're all ready to do that public communication with you.
And you're doing a great job of voicing it right here, too, which is important.
I'm trying.
Well, not to mention, then the public gets engaged with it, whereas if they don't get to see it and understand it and experience it, they really don't know why it's good.
And sometimes they can be scared. Lack of knowledge sometimes creates fear.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really good. There was years ago, it was okay for people to just do research in basements and nobody really knew or understood. That just doesn't really happen anymore.
Right. I love the concept of that full circle 360 integration from research to experience and public comment. And you get feedback that way too. You get a better understanding of, oh, maybe I was off a little bit on that concept. The community is not as involved or maybe even concerned as we think they should be.
Right.
So how do we manage that out? Because in some cases we need them to be involved.
Almost every scientist that comes is blown away by the questions they get, and it helps them be better researchers.
I can imagine.
Right? Sometimes they'll say, I never thought of that question, but that actually might make me think a little differently about this research I'm doing,
right.
or make me want to go back to the lab and explore some more. It's very rewarding for everybody.
Let's take a quick break from the science discussion with Andrea to hear from the people who make this program possible. I was in the media business for over 35 years and had the great privilege of working with Runyon Saltzman, RSE, Marketing, Advertising, and Public Relations. We collaborated on many different campaigns, but their commitment to the nonprofit sector hasn't changed since their founder, Gene Runyon, started the agency. Over many years and many campaigns, Runyon Saltzman has been committed to improving lives by tackling California's most challenging issues. Guided by research-informed strategies and insightful, creative solutions, RSE develops innovative communications campaigns that raise awareness, educate, and reduce stigma in diverse communities throughout our state and beyond. To learn more about RSE, visit rs-e.com.
Hello, this is Scott Thomas with Cap Trust in our Sacramento office. I specialize in working with local nonprofits and associations. Annually, we survey private and public nonprofit organizations across the country to better understand challenges they see in today's environment. In our more recent survey, we heard concerns about proper board governance, mission-aligned investment, and how to implement alternative investments. If you would like a copy of the survey or to discuss your organization, look me up, Scott Thomas at captrust.com.
I'm thrilled to have Western Health Advantage partnering with us as they do so much to support so many nonprofit agencies in our community. As a truly local health plan, you'll find individual and family options, employer options, plans for CalPERS and Medicare Advantage. From medical services to pharmacy, health and wellness support, as well as behavioral health care, Western Health Advantage has a plan that fits what you need. As an employer, for profit or nonprofit business, individual or family, you can find more at westernhealth.com. On the point you mentioned in that conversation we just had was something about where there's grant opportunities for the museum, which is a perfect segue to funding. How is the museum funded?
So our budget is about $6 million, and roughly half of that comes from admissions. We have a fairly affordable admission cost. Then there's what we call ancillary things like parking in our gift shop. And the
Events.
other half, yep, thank you.
Events
Rental,
there?
yes, thank you.
Yes.
Rental events. We are open for business. We were talking before we started recording about how you've been to some parties
Yes.
at the museum, and it's great because you can have a party. It's so much better a party. I'm sorry, Hilton, but the Hilton Ballroom is not MOSAC, right? So It's so much more fun to have a party, especially if you're a science-affiliated organization, to have a party at MOSAC because people can play with the exhibits while they're talking and having a beverage. Anyway, so that's my plug for having your party at MOSAC.
As one
Or
of
your-
the revenue streams.
Exactly. So that comprises, so we call that earned revenue, and that's about half of our revenue, and the other half is philanthropic. It's grants, philanthropy from our wonderful donors and supporters, corporations, the city and SMUD, of course, are huge supporters. As I mentioned before, UC Davis. They named our multiverse we have the UC Davis Multiverse Theater thanks to their giving. So the other half comes from philanthropy.
How many people travel through those doors in the course of a year?
Last year we had 180,000 people. 25,000 of those were school groups, which we love.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And was that easy to accommodate?
Yes. Well, I'll qualify that. There are days when we are bursting at the seams,
Okay.
and there are days when you could have a very solitary experience.
Okay.
And so it really follows. If you think about your everyday life, you probably wouldn't bring your 3 generations on a Tuesday at 2 o'clock, right? So we hit peaks and valleys with school vacation weeks and when people are off work and want to spend that quality time together. Weather, unfortunately, it's weather related too.
I can imagine that, yeah.
And it does not rain enough in California for my liking.
Well, now you're learning, right? You're coming from Massachusetts. You've got a big
That's
bay and a
right.
lot of water right
Yeah.
there. You're on the opposite end of it.
Yeah. So if you want to, if you are crowd averse, hot tip: don't come on a rainy day.
Oh, sure.
There's
Yep.
your tip of the day.
180,000. Would 250 be realistic in the course of a year?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we're here to serve everybody. We would like to serve more people. I kind of joke that if I had $1 for every time somebody told me, "Oh yeah, I've driven by on I-5 and I've wondered about that building," or "I've been meaning to go," those dollars would add up to
Yes.
solving our philanthropic
Yes, based on
goals.
the amount of traffic you got. What a wonderful visual it is. And it's so vivid. It's
yeah,
just
it's a beautiful, beautiful state-of-the-art building.
It is. And the lettering, I'll call it the logo, a little bit different on the building, just stands out and pops so well. That's the best billboard you could ever have.
Well, you'd think,
Right.
but there are a lot of people who still don't know we're here.
Yeah, we
So
gotta get a
thank you
call
for
to-
giving me the opportunity to talk about it. We're doing more marketing. We're being more current on social media. We're doing a lot of things. But yes, you're right. We could accommodate a lot more people. We'd love to welcome a lot more people. Ride your bike there. We don't have fabulous public transportation, but we're working on that. And sometimes our parking lot gets full. So again, if you come early, come later in the day.
And if I'm not mistaken, the bike trail runs very, very close.
So close that I ride my bike to work every day.
There we go.
Yeah, it's a beautiful bike trail that goes right along the river, and it's not used. Being somebody who bikes to work, I don't see as many people on that bike path as I wish I did. But it goes right from Old Sac. People walk from Old Sac all the time. It's a half a mile from the History Museum to come to MOSAC. So you can walk from Old Sac when you're doing a day out, or you can ride your bike, which is a beautiful trail, as I said, along the river. So there are many ways to get there, and we'd love to have everybody.
How many people do you employ?
About 52 right now.
Okay.
About half of those are part-time. We rely heavily on terrific part-time people who might be college students that are picking up some extra money or things like that, people with different schedules. So we have about half full-time and about half part-time to help welcome school groups. We have higher visitation on weekends sometimes, so we have a lot of weekend workers, things like that.
Volunteer docents as well?
Yes, we have terrific volunteers that help with all kinds of things. They help with helping our visitors in their curiosity journey, but they also help on events. They welcome people to laser shows. Oh yeah, I have to put in a plug for laser shows.
I was going to ask you about that. I saw it on the website and I was really intrigued by it.
They're really fun. People have a great experience because we have a 25,000 watt sound system. So that means there is a subwoofer the size of your refrigerator. We love to talk about that. And so you get to, it's like you're at a concert, you get the feeling of being at a live concert, but of course it's not. But you get to experience these fun, creative laser patterns on the dome. And each one is different for the artist. So Billie Eilish has different graphics than Taylor Swift, than AC/DC. We got something for everybody. We even have a movie magic show at 4 o'clock on weekends that's very family friendly. It's songs like from Lion King or Frozen, things like that. And so the laser shows, you can see on our website, we have many, many artists, and people are really, really enjoying those.
That sounds like a lot of fun. And it's done in that closed environment, again, of serenity, meaning it's really quiet. So it's probably great acoustics that
Terrific
you're getting in that dome there.
Very experiential.
So let's take a little bit of a deviation. Money, no object. Any nonprofit, money always is an object in some way, shape, or form. But if it wasn't, what would the museum look like? And you have a bit of a benefit because yours is a newer facility, and so you're not facility deprived, with
Yeah,
deferred,
easy for you to say.
deferred maintenance. Yeah, you're in it every day, so you know what it requires. But if it wasn't, what would it look like? What would you do differently?
So, of course, I dream. People in museums are dreamers, too, right?
That's how it came to be.
Yeah, I dream about it all the time. Several things. The first thing would probably be an infinite scholarship fund. You're saying money's no object, so I would say a giant scholarship fund that helps support every school's ability to come. Right? We have to charge admission to schools. There's the cost of school buses. There are challenges that not every school district can meet. And so I would love to have a giant scholarship fund that we could help every teacher who wants to bring their classroom there come. Part two of that is that even if we had a giant scholarship fund, not every school could come for many reasons. Maybe they're even further than Chico.
Right.
And there are limits to how long kids will sit on a bus. So I'd love to form a team.
We're talking to you, Red Bluff.
Yeah. I'd love to have a fleet of vans and a big team of people that could go out to schools and do fabulous science demonstrations in their auditorium or their gymnasium, or do labs in their classrooms and have us bring the science to them. Of course, we want everybody to come to
mobile
MOSAC.
MOSAC.
Right. Mobile MOSAC. Hey, we go. We already have a name for it. Thanks. So would love to see that happen, because of course we want everybody to come to MOSAC because it's all the things we've been describing. But we could also bring science to the community if to schools if money was no object. And then since you brought up the facility, there's a lot more fun science out there than we can stuff into that building. And we don't have enough parking for the really busy days or the huge events that our capacity can hold. So I would blow up our parking lot and I would build a big honking parking garage.
And stack it.
And on top of it, we could have more space for more exhibits. We could have more labs. Right now we have 2 labs, which accommodates a lot of students, but there's more demand for that. And so we could serve our community even more by making it easier for them to park and to have more science experiences. And so that's what I would do.
Boy, just the thought of your parking structure alone for your facility, yes, but for all the activities that are anticipated coming into town, to have a double stack or a triple stack parking facility there would take a lot of pressure off of where we run out of parking space.
Well, and it's a growing. We're in a hip and happening part of town, right? The beautiful, beautiful Hanami Line Park. opened last summer right next to us.
Mhm.
I would encourage everybody to come in the spring when those cherry trees are in bloom.
Sacramento Tree Foundation, correct?
Correct. Our friends there and the city and a lot of wonderful donors helped make that happen. And they are literally our next door neighbor. So you can park at MOSAC and go to the park. Of course, we want people to bike because we are trying to save this
Environment.
planet. And so when anybody can come and enjoy that park, the hope is that people will bike there, but you're welcome to park. So MOSAC was kind of the first newbie in our neighborhood, and then the Hanami Line Park was the next thing in our neighborhood. And of course, so much is going to happen over in the rail yards, and that area is not going to look anything like this 10 years from now.
Totally agreed.
And
And
so
West
we're at
Sac
the-
is right there.
We're at
all
the forefront of
development.
it all. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I think this vital area needs more resources.
Well, I hope somebody with a lot of money, some huge philanthropist, is sitting here hearing this, who's engaged in STEM, and that's their cause and where they want to leave their legacy, because you're ready to accept it.
I sure am. I love talking about MOSAC. I love listening to donors and hearing their passion and finding those connections. That's my favorite thing about my job, actually, is making those connections, figuring out how we can work together to make the world a better place through the generosity of people who, as you said, are really passionate about making a difference in the world. The
Mhm.
kids and humans, the humans of all ages that come to MOSAC are the people that are going to solve the wicked challenges of the world. They're our future. When adults come and get more interested in science and make it feel more accessible, they're going to make better decisions at the voting booths that are going to make a difference in our world.
Right.
So we're really here for all. It's never too late to learn and get involved in science. And so there are a lot of donors that are really passionate about lots of these aspects of STEM. And I love talking with them about the intersection of their passion and how we help serve our community.
Back to the reality of the facility, for sure, because I'm certain it's not an easy maintenance prospect with all that you've got going on. What is the greatest need?
The greatest need is really supporting our ability to serve the public. I think there are funders who think only new shiny things are what they want to donate to, but we are a new shiny thing.
Mm-hmm.
And all of us who are providing shiny things already, sometimes you don't need new shiny things. We need to pay the staff a good wage. So, we talk about in the nonprofit world, like there's no reason why people should have to take a pledge of poverty
No.
to make the world a better place,
Correct.
right? So paying those indirect costs is a real thing. And that money doesn't just fall from the heavens. And so really supporting the core mission and the things that makes our beautiful cultural institutions run and make us able to do the wonderful things that serve the public, that's really the greatest need. And maybe people don't think that's exciting enough, but really, we don't always need a new thing. We need to do what we're doing really, really well and with the resources to do it at the excellent level that our community deserves.
Well, with the laser exhibits for shows, that's new and novel, and that's shiny, and your technology exhibits that change.
They do.
Those are the new and shiny parts. They keep
It's true.
coming. And we are not going to slow or stop the technological movement in so many ways, whether it is in a biological sense or in a water sense or electrical or whatever it may be, engineering. Speaking of, just an aside that I was really intrigued by, is when the original facility was being dismantled, there was a smokestack.
Mm.
And one of the staff was telling me there's a piece of that smokestack in the ceiling, hanging in the ceiling.
Yeah, there were 4 smokestacks, actually.
Oh, my
there
goodness.
are 4 of those that really are just kind of evocative of those smokestacks at this point. But yeah,
It's so cool that somebody had the foresight to say, hey, let's not get rid of it. Keep a piece of it for posterity in the building. and they're not visible really unless somebody points them out.
It's a little insider thing.
It is. It was we're sharing a secret.
Yeah, that's fun. That's fun.
And it was so cool to think, yeah, that is
Yeah.
really neat that they did that.
There was so much work that went into restoring that beautiful historic building. And I'm a hobby historic preservationist, so I really respect that. And I think our community had a lot of love for that building, so it's really wonderful that it kind of is like full circle. I think that building was built in 1912 and it was abandoned for more than 100 years of its existence. And so it's wonderful that we could do our part to help. It was the PG&E building was the first electricity that came to Sacramento. So it's a little full circle to think that was some of the early STEM in Sacramento, and now it's a STEM institution. But I want to go back to what you said about things changing all the time, because I think that's one of the misconceptions about museums. There are a lot of misconceptions that are like, oh, museum, I wouldn't know what to do in a museum. It's not for me. What is it? So I love that you were talking about how hands-on it is and how, yes, things change all the time. And and those things don't just fall in our laps. That's our fabulous staff, that they're inventing those new activities. They're inventing new programs, new exhibits. We change out our exhibits all the time. And the exhibits themselves change just because they're so open-ended. So we have people who come weekly.
Oh, those are really
we do.
Those are fans.
Yes. We have members that if you look in their record, they came 150 times last year.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Those are people I want to hang around in my neighborhood, say, tell me about, because they're going to know. They've been through that museum. They've experienced so much of it with its changing dynamic and exhibits to say, oh, no, if you do this, or that happens. How do you know all this? Well, it's because I go to MOSAC every other day.
Yeah, I also want to mention that we have an amazing program called Museums for All, and it's a national program. You can look up any museum and see if they're a part of the Museums for All network. Mm-hmm. What it does is it helps us all to serve the public for whom our admission price might be a barrier. So if you are the owner of a SNAP EBT card, you can walk into MOSAC with 3 family members, and we will welcome you for free, completely for free. We started that program soon after I got to MOSAC last year, and in the year and a half we've been welcoming people through that program, we've welcomed over 10,000 people for absolutely free.
Who may not have experienced the museum if it wasn't free, because they don't have the means to do so.
Yeah. And since you were talking about donors and philanthropy,
yes,
I will mention that support for that program, I'd love to talk to anybody who wants to have their name on that program as a proud sponsor to help that segment of our community that really, the benefits of kids being exposed to this type of open-ended STEM learning early is almost indescribable.
Well, and clearly the need is there with 10,000 coming through.
Exactly. And I would love for it to be proud sponsor, Museums for All, presented by a very proud sponsor who cares deeply about our community.
What is the best way to learn about everything that's going on? There's so much. And directions, because like you said, so many of us drive by it. How do you get to it? It's down there. It's the freeway's
really
above
easy.
it.
It's really easy. Just when you're going north on I-5, you just pop right off where it says Jaboom Street or Richards. Richards, thank you. Yep, Richards. The Richards exit going north or south, and we're on Jaboom Street. It's kind of right around the corner from that exit. So do that. You can learn about all the things that are happening at visitmosac.org. We're on all the social media channels. So there are a lot of ways to learn. Sign up for a newsletter. It helps you see like all the wonderful things that are happening when we have special programming. We put it on our monthly newsletter. So yeah.
And I will put the link to the website in the show notes for anybody that's listening. You can go right on your phone if you're listening on your app and just push it and find out everything that's going on at the museum now.
Perfect.
Whenever you choose. Andrea, what an enlightening experience, and what a neat facility. What a neat thing for Sacramento that you and your team are doing with MOSAC and SMUD, one of your biggest supporters, I'm sure. their name is
It is
attached to it.
It is the SMUD Museum of Science and Curiosity, and we're so grateful for their support. They care, of course. We all know there's such a huge community supporter, and they are at the leading edge of helping to save this planet. So our missions are in total alignment.
And I was going to say they do so much, and they're so far advanced in their sustainability for producing the energy that we need.
Exactly.
They're an exemplary electric company in the country.
Absolutely.
So very, very
We're very
cool.
proud to have them here. We're very fortunate that our community was able to put together resources and make MOSAC happen. It's really we're loved by the community, and we hope everybody comes.
And unlike so many perceptions that people have of museums, well, it's old stuff for me to see, but and it doesn't change. It's old. Why? Nothing new comes in there. To the contrary, that's not what MOSAC is. MOSAC is the today forward museum. It's not looking at the historical pieces static. It's taking that history and moving it forward and showing us
Right. But
what it all means.
I want to say that I love this industry. I've been in the museum industry for a very long time, and there really isn't. I'd be hard pressed to think of a museum on Earth that is the old stagnant museum
Correct.
that is that is the museum of yesterday.
And we need to say that. Tell us
Yeah,
for
all
the
museums
listeners.
are. Yes, I'll put in a plug for me. So we have 32 museums in Sacramento. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
And they're all great. And we're really pretty tight. Museum people are tight with each other. We love each other. It's a great, great field to be in. I feel privileged because we support each other so much. Even our Sacramento History Museum is amazing. Fun fact,
That is amazing.
they have more social media followers than any museum on planet Earth. So they're fabulous friends of ours. There's no museum that is stagnant anymore. It's not that kind of world anymore. You don't survive as a museum if you're stagnant. And so, yeah, come to museums. They're fun. I think there is a misperception that they're dusty and something, or people are afraid. They're fun. You get to take things into your own hands, and I'm a big fan of museums, so I'm super biased, but I'm proud of being biased. So visit your local museums,
And
all of
that's
them.
what I love about this conversation. Your energy, your excitement about it, your passion, as you talk about some of the exhibits and the people and the donors, it makes Sacramento proud.
Oh, thank
So-
you. Thank you. This is the friendliest city I've lived in, and I love it here. I'm so glad I came here and came to MOSAC.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Thank you.
And thank you for the conversation today.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Thank you for listening to the Nonprofit Podcast Network. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If what you heard moved you, please reach out to that organization and do what you can to help. If you like and appreciate what we're doing to support local nonprofits, please give us a positive review, subscribe, and share. If you're a nonprofit with an interest in participating in an episode, you can reach me at jeff@hearmenowstudio.com. If you have a need for the services or products our sponsors offer, please reach out to them. CapTrust, fiduciary advice for endowments and foundations. Runyon Saltzman Incorporated, RSE, marketing, advertising, and public relations, creating integrated communications committed to improving lives. And Western Health Advantage, a full-service healthcare plan for individuals, employer groups, and families. The Nonprofit Podcast Network is a production of, is recorded at, and edited by Hear Me Now Studio.